Have you ever pondered over what pushes nations into war and what they stand to gain from such devastating conflicts? Today, we turn our gaze towards the heart of Europe, where the bloodiest conflict since the Second World War rages on. We're speaking of Ukraine, a nation embroiled in a brutal war that has entered its third year. A conflict that has claimed tens of thousands of lives, both soldiers and civilians, and forced millions of Ukrainians to flee from their bomb-ravaged towns and cities. At the helm of this conflict is Russian President Vladimir Putin, whose defiance remains unshaken. Despite the devastation, Putin asserts there will be no peace until his country's goals are met. Meanwhile, Ukraine, its ammunition supplies dwindling, pleads for more aid. Yet the response is divided. The European Union has approved a substantial aid package, but across the Atlantic, the United States Congress is at odds over extending the military lifeline to Ukraine. As we delve into the heart of this conflict, we ask, is this a war that can be won? Who benefits, and what might be Putin's next move? To understand the current situation, we must journey back to the genesis of the conflict. It all began on February 24, 2022, when Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine, marking the onset of a bloody conflict that would drag on for years. As the war progressed, the international community responded with a flurry of actions. Sanctions were levied against Russia, targeting the country's finance sector and freezing approximately half of its foreign currency reserves. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky stood firm, bolstered by billions of dollars worth of support and weaponry from international allies and NATO. President Putin, on the other hand, remained defiant. Despite the mounting pressure, he insisted on not negotiating peace, transforming what was initially described as a special military operation into a full-scale war. Across the Atlantic, US President Joe Biden faced his own struggles. Convincing Congress to pass a $95 billion foreign aid package for Ukraine proved challenging. The package was intended to replenish Ukraine's dwindling ammunition stocks, but legislative delays cast a shadow of uncertainty over its approval. As we look at the battlefield, the question arises, is there a stalemate? Or is Putin using this delay to his advantage? Behind the strategic moves and political debates, there lies a harsh reality: the human cost. The war in Ukraine has not merely been a clash of military forces or a theater of geopolitical games. It has taken a devastating toll on the civilian population. Tens of thousands of lives have been lost, and the future remains uncertain for those who have survived. Thousands of soldiers from both sides have fallen, their lives cut short by the relentless conflict. However, the war has not discriminated, claiming the lives of thousands of civilians caught in the crossfire. Beyond the battlefield, the war has forced over 6 million Ukrainians from their homes. These individuals, families, and communities have been uprooted from their lives, their homes turned into war zones, their cities and towns scarred by the violence. These refugees face an uncertain future. With every passing day, they ask themselves, how much longer? How much longer will the conflict rage on? How many more lives will be lost? And how many more people will be forced from their homes? As we reflect on these grim realities, we must ask ourselves, at what cost comes victory? And is it a price worth paying?